You're not on the list for tonight's ceremony, Marcus. I'm standing in the hallway outside the grand ballroom, holding my portfolio of 5 years' worth of breakthrough innovations, and Jessica Walsh, our CEO, barely glances up from her tablet. Hotel staff buzz around us, setting up for the Young Leaders Innovation Awards ceremony. I check my phone for the invitation I was certain I'd received. I'm sorry, what? This year's focus is on emerging talent, she says, like the conversation's already over. Fresh perspectives, the future of our industry. I look past her into the ballroom where my entire engineering team sits at round tables draped in corporate blue. Even Kevin's there, her nephew who somehow became our innovation catalyst after 18 months with the company. The same Kevin who presented my AI logistics framework to the board last month as his breakthrough concept. But the framework being honored tonight, I say carefully, that's based on my 5 years of research. Jessica finally looks up. Kevin brought fresh energy to the project. Sometimes senior staff get too attached to legacy approaches. She pauses, studying my face. You understand, that crystallized everything. I'm Marcus Stone, 48 years old, and I've been in technology since I was 12. MIT computer science degree, Stanford MBA, 23 years in the industry. I'm the guy who sees patterns in chaos and builds systems that actually work. But I just got dismissed as legacy. I see, I said, opening my laptop right there in the hallway. Check your email. As notification chimes started echoing through the ballroom moments later, I closed my laptop and walked away, leaving behind increasingly frantic voices. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. Ever been in a meeting where someone half your age dismissed your expertise as outdated thinking? Where your decades of experience got treated like a liability instead of an asset? If you're over 45 and working in corporate America, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What I did next didn't just change my life, it changed an entire industry. Look, I didn't start out planning some elaborate revenge scheme. I joined TechFlow Logistics 6 years ago after spending 15 years climbing the ladder at various tech firms. The startup energy appealed to me, a chance to build something meaningful without the bureaucracy that had started choking innovation at larger corporations. My first 3 years exceeded every expectation. I architected our core logistics platform from scratch, writing the initial codebase myself during nights and weekends. Built machine learning models that predicted shipping bottlenecks with 94% accuracy, something our competitors couldn't match. Even identified critical security vulnerabilities that could have cost us our Fortune 500 clients. Each innovation was properly documented, each breakthrough carefully attributed. I followed every protocol, respected every hierarchy, played by every rule in the corporate handbook. Hell, I even mentored the junior developers who joined my team, teaching them the difference between writing code that works and writing code that scales. But here's the thing about corporate America. The rules change when you're not looking. Problems started when Jessica was brought in as CEO 2 years ago. She arrived with a mandate to modernize our culture and inject young energy into our leadership pipeline. What she really meant was anyone over 45 was suddenly dead weight. I watched colleagues with 20-year track records get quietly reassigned to lesser roles, while recent graduates got fast-tracked into positions they weren't qualified for. The first red flag came during a strategy meeting when I presented the comprehensive AI framework I'd been developing. This wasn't some theoretical concept. I'd spent 18 months building and testing every component. The system could optimize routing decisions in real time, processing thousands of variables simultaneously. We're talking about reducing costs by 45% while improving delivery times by 60%. In logistics, those numbers are revolutionary. I walked through the technical architecture, explained the machine learning algorithms, showed the test results from our pilot program. 20 slides of solid engineering backed by real data. After my presentation, Jessica nodded thoughtfully. Interesting approach, Marcus. But I wonder if we're thinking big enough. Kevin, you've been looking at next-generation logistics solutions. What's your take? Kevin, fresh from his Ivy League MBA and exactly 18 months into his first real job, stood up with the confidence only ignorance provides. He regurgitated my framework almost word for word, adding buzzwords like synergy and paradigm shift while completely missing the technical complexity that made the system revolutionary. He talked about leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning without understanding that he was describing the exact algorithms I just explained. Now that's innovative thinking. Jessica beamed. Kevin, I'd like you to lead implementation of this approach. I sat there stunned as my 5 years of research became Kevin's breakthrough concept in a 15-minute presentation. The kid couldn't even pronounce neural network correctly, but he was getting credit for building one. When I approached Jessica privately afterward, her response revealed everything about my future at the company. "Marcus, you're obviously talented," she said without looking up from her laptop, "but sometimes we need fresh eyes on old problems. Kevin brings an entrepreneurial mindset that resonates with our younger client base." "This isn't about mindset," I replied. "This is about intellectual property theft." She finally looked at me then, expression cold. "That's a strong accusation." Kevin's approach may have incorporated some existing frameworks, but his synthesis represents genuine innovation. Besides, everything developed here belongs to the company. I left her office understanding the rules had changed. Experience was now a liability. Age was a disqualification. Innovation only counted if it came from the right demographic. But I might have tolerated the situation if not for what happened 6 months ago. That's when I learned just how far this company was willing to go to erase my contributions. After noticing inefficiencies in our cross-platform data integration, I spent evenings and weekends developing a comprehensive solution. The breakthrough came when I realized we could use neural networks to predict shipping patterns across multiple variables simultaneously: weather, port congestion, fuel prices, even political events that might affect trade routes. It was machine learning at its most sophisticated, processing real-time data feeds from dozens of sources. I spent 4 months perfecting the algorithms, running simulations, stress testing the system with historical data. The results were staggering. Implementation would save our clients an average of 58% on logistics costs, while improving delivery accuracy by 71%. We're talking about millions in savings for each major client. I prepared a detailed presentation, complete with code samples, performance benchmarks, and projected ROI calculations. This wasn't just theory. I had working prototypes running on my home lab, processing actual shipping data. I scheduled time with the executive team for what I thought would be my moment to finally get the recognition I deserved. The morning of my presentation, Kevin intercepted me at the elevator. "Hey Marcus, quick change of plans. Jessica wants me to consolidate all the logistics initiatives into one unified pitch. Mind if I incorporate your data into my overview?" The kid looked genuinely friendly, like he was doing me a favor. Maybe he didn't even realize what he was asking for. But I was tired of being the ghostwriter for other people's success stories. Reluctantly, I handed over my presentation materials. Kevin was officially leading the logistics innovation team, despite joining it only 3 months earlier. Company hierarchy mattered, even when it made no sense. I sat through the board meeting, watching Kevin present my neural network framework as his revolutionary breakthrough. He kept calling it intuitive algorithmic solutions, which told me he had no idea how neural networks actually function. He missed half the technical details and misrepresented the other half, but the board was captivated by his enthusiasm and fresh perspective. This represents a paradigm shift in how we approach predictive analytics. Kevin announced, clicking through my slides with the confidence of someone who'd never actually built a predictive model. By leveraging synergistic data streams, we can achieve unprecedented optimization across multiple logistics vectors. The executives nodded along, impressed by buzzwords that meant nothing. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there watching this kid butcher explanations of algorithms I'd spent months perfecting. The project was greenlit immediately with a $2.8 million budget. Kevin got promoted to Director of Innovation with a corner office and a 40% salary bump. I remained Director of Technology, responsible for implementing his vision, which was really my vision, stripped of any technical understanding. That night, I sat in my home office looking at 20 years of career achievements that apparently didn't matter anymore. I had patents with my name on them, systems running in Fortune 500 companies, code that processed billions of dollars in transactions daily. But none of that counted if I couldn't play the political games that determined who got credit. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. If this company valued presentation over substance, if they preferred enthusiasm over expertise, I'd show them exactly what their choice would cost them. But I wouldn't do it through some angry resignation letter or corporate tantrum. I'd do it the way engineers solve problems, methodically, systematically, with a clear plan and measurable outcomes. I started working on something they'd never see coming. A complete next-generation platform that would make their stolen framework look like a high school science project. But this time, I did everything on my personal equipment, during my personal time, using only my personal resources. I even set up a separate internet connection to make sure there was no question about ownership. More importantly, I started reaching out to colleagues who'd experienced similar treatment. You'd be surprised how many experienced professionals were feeling the same frustration. David from Enterprise Sales had been restructured out of his role to make room for a younger account manager who spoke fluent social media, but couldn't explain the technical advantages of our platform to save his life. David had built relationships with our biggest clients over 8 years, only to watch his replacement lose 2 major accounts in his first quarter. Robert from Systems Architecture had been passed over for promotion 3 times while watching recent graduates advance past him. The kid they made senior architect couldn't design a database schema without calling Robert for advice, but somehow Robert wasn't qualified for the promotion. Each conversation revealed the same pattern: experienced professionals being systematically displaced by a company obsessed with youth and disruption. But these weren't just any professionals. They were the people who actually understood how the business worked, who had the client relationships, who knew where the bodies were buried in our code base. Here's what Jessica and the board didn't understand. When you push out the people who built your systems, you don't just lose employees. You lose institutional knowledge. You lose the understanding of why certain decisions were made, what problems the current solutions solve, and how everything connects together. And that gave me an idea. 4 months before the award ceremony, I approached Sarah Ming, a venture capitalist known for funding experienced entrepreneurs. I'd done my homework. Sarah specialized in B2B enterprise software, had a track record of successful logistics investments, and most importantly, she wasn't impressed by flashy presentations without substance. I presented my enhanced platform along with a comprehensive business plan. This wasn't just an improved version of what Kevin had stolen, it was a complete reimagining of how logistics optimization should work. Real-time processing, predictive analytics, automated decision-making, all running on a distributed architecture that could scale to handle global shipping networks. This could revolutionize enterprise logistics, she said after reviewing my technical specifications for 2 hours. Sarah was one of the few VCs who actually understood code, having been a software engineer before moving into investing. But why leave a director-level position to start over? Because I'm not starting over, I replied, revealing my second presentation. I'm starting with 12 senior engineers, a proven technology platform, and established relationships with 35 enterprise clients who are already expressing frustration with our current service limitations. Sarah's expression shifted as she absorbed the implications. You're not just leaving. You're taking half their institutional knowledge with you. I'm taking the half they've decided they don't value, I corrected. 6 weeks later, I had my funding commitments, $15 million Series A, with Sarah leading the round and 2 other enterprise-focused VCs participating. 2 months after that, I had office space leased under a holding company name and legal agreements with my future team members. I filed preliminary patents for my enhanced platform and began discreet conversations with clients who'd expressed interest in more sophisticated logistics solutions. The beauty of having worked in this industry for 23 years is that you build relationships that transcend any single company. These clients knew my work, trusted my expertise, and were getting frustrated with the declining service quality at TechFlow. Everything was in place. I just needed the right moment to execute. The Young Leaders Innovation Award ceremony provided perfect timing. When I learned Kevin would be receiving recognition for my framework, I prepared my final move. This wasn't about spite, it was about market correction. The industry was about to learn the difference between innovation and imitation. I drafted resignation letters for myself and 12 colleagues, finalized client transition agreements, and prepared a press release announcing our new venture. Stone Dynamics. The name was deliberate, personal, direct, no corporate doublespeak, just like the company we were building. That evening, I dressed carefully in my best Navy suit, not because I expected to attend the ceremony, but because I wanted them to see me one last time as the professional they'd underestimated. I drove to the hotel with my laptop bag and a portfolio containing documentation of every stolen innovation, every missed promotion, every time my contributions had been reassigned to younger colleagues. Standing in that hallway, holding my portfolio while being dismissed as legacy thinking, 3 years of accumulated insults crystallized into perfect clarity. Jessica wasn't just excluding me from one ceremony, she was announcing that people like me had no place in the company's future. The moment she finished explaining why I wasn't worthy of a seat at the table I'd helped build, I opened my laptop and sent the email that would change everything. Resignation letters went to HR for all 13 departing employees. Client notifications went to our top 35 accounts, informing them of our transition to Stone Dynamics and inviting them to continue working with our team. Patent applications went to the USPTO, documenting my ownership of technologies that TechFlow had been claiming as company innovations. And a press release went to industry publications scheduled for distribution at 8 a.m. the following morning. The notification sound started immediately, echoing through the ballroom like a countdown. I could hear phones buzzing, tablets chiming, the sudden murmur of confused voices as people opened emails they never expected to receive. I closed my laptop and walked away, leaving behind the sound of increasingly frantic discussions. I was in the parking garage when my phone started ringing. Jessica's name appeared on screen. I declined the call, then did the same for Kevin, then for Brad Hoffman from marketing. If they wanted to talk, they should have thought about that before dismissing me as legacy. By the time I reached my car, I had 7 missed calls and a stream of increasingly desperate text messages. The most telling came from Kevin. "We can work this out. Don't do anything hasty." The kid finally understood that his breakthrough concept was walking out the door with its actual creator. That's when I knew they'd finally grasped what I'd sent them. Comprehensive documentation of every stolen innovation, detailed evidence of age discrimination, and proof that their revolutionary platform was built entirely on work they'd systematically devalued. I was starting my car when I heard running footsteps. In my rearview mirror, I saw Brad jogging across the parking garage in his tuxedo, bow tie askew, looking like a corporate penguin chasing after the last fish in the ocean. "Marcus, wait," he called out, breathing heavily. "We need to talk." I rolled down my window. Interesting. An hour ago, I wasn't even worth a conversation. That was a miscommunication. He panted, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool evening air. "Jessica's already talking about restructuring the leadership team. We can fix this. And Kevin's promotion?" I asked. Brad's expression tightened. You could see him calculating how much truth he could afford to tell. "Look, mistakes were made, but we can fix this. Name your terms. Equity stake, C-suite title, whatever it takes." I studied his face, recognizing the panic behind his desperate offer. This wasn't about making things right. This was about damage control. They just realized that their innovation pipeline was walking away along with most of their senior technical talent and their biggest clients. What I wanted was respect for my contributions, recognition for my expertise, a voice in strategic decisions I was qualified to make. I shifted into drive. "But you taught me something valuable. I don't need your respect. I can build my own company where experience actually matters." As I drove away, I watched more executives pour into the parking garage through my mirrors, their award ceremony completely forgotten. Jessica emerged from the hotel entrance, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing frantically at someone who wasn't there. The new office was a renovated warehouse space I'd leased 3 weeks earlier in the industrial district. Nothing fancy, exposed brick walls, polished concrete floors, high ceilings with industrial lighting. But it was ours, and it felt more professional than any corporate boardroom I'd sat in. When I arrived, my team was already there. 12 seasoned engineers and architects who'd suffered similar treatment at our former company, plus David from sales and Robert from architecture. They'd left the award ceremony shortly after the email went out, understanding immediately that their careers at TechFlow had just ended. Did they try to stop anyone? Asked David, our new head of sales who'd been restructured out to make room for someone younger. He was setting up laptops at workstations we'd assembled the previous weekend. "Brad chased me through the parking garage," I replied. "Offered me equity and a C-suite position. How did that feel?" asked Robert, grinning as he handed me coffee from the machine we'd installed. He looked happier than I'd seen him in months. "Not as good as this, Will," I said, opening my laptop to show them the response from our first major client. Global Shipping Solutions hadn't just agreed to transition their business to us. They'd introduced us to 3 additional prospects impressed by our proven track record and frustrated with TechFlow's declining service quality. Over the next several hours, we finalized our launch strategy. Stone Dynamics would officially announce itself the following morning with our proprietary AI platform as flagship offering. The patents I'd filed would protect our intellectual property, and the client agreements we'd secured would provide immediate revenue from day one. At 8:47 p.m., my phone rang with Jessica's direct line. "Marcus," she said without preamble, "we need to meet tonight." "I'm listening," I replied, putting the call on speaker for my team. Everyone gathered around. We were in this together now. "What you're doing is going to hurt a lot of good people." People who had nothing to do with tonight's misunderstanding. The only people getting hurt are the ones who built their success on other people's work, I responded. My team and I are simply taking our expertise where it's valued. Your team? Her voice sharpened. How many people are you talking about? 13 senior staff members, the people you considered legacy thinking. The line went quiet for several seconds. When she spoke again, her voice had dropped to barely above a whisper. This is corporate sabotage. This is market forces, I corrected. If you can't retain talent, you don't deserve to keep it. 20 minutes later, the board chairman himself called. Preston Walsh, a man who rarely communicated with anyone below C-suite level. I'd met him exactly twice in 6 years. Marcus, let's talk business, he said in his gravelly voice. What would it take to bring you back? Stock options, partnership track, we're prepared to be creative. I looked around at my team, experienced professionals who'd been discarded for being legacy, people who trusted me enough to risk their careers on this venture. David was already on his second laptop, coordinating client transitions. Robert was reviewing our technical architecture, making sure we could handle the incoming business. There are no terms, Mr. Walsh. This isn't a negotiation. It's a new beginning. The next morning, our press release hit the wire at exactly 8 a.m. By 8:30, trade publications were reporting on the emergence of a new player in enterprise logistics. By 9:15, they were reporting on TechFlow's stock price beginning to slide. The market opened with TechFlow down 8% on news of our launch. By 10 a.m., we gathered around a screen to watch Jessica give an emergency investor call. Her usual confidence had been replaced by barely controlled panic as she attempted to explain how losing 13 senior staff members wouldn't impact operations. We view this as an opportunity to accelerate our modernization initiatives, she told analysts, her voice steady but her hands shaking slightly on camera. Our younger leadership team is better positioned to drive innovation in this rapidly evolving sector. The market disagreed. The stock dropped another 7% during her 30-minute presentation, bringing the total decline to 15% by lunch. When she announced that Kevin would be transitioning to pursue other opportunities, I felt no satisfaction, only confirmation that the company would continue sacrificing people rather than examining its culture. By noon, our phones were ringing constantly. Potential clients, investors, former colleagues interested in joining us. The industry had taken notice that Experience was building something new. What our former company failed to understand was that innovation doesn't come from youth or enthusiasm. It comes from the deep understanding that only experience provides, minus knowing not just what to build, but why it needs to be built that way. 6 months after our launch, Stone Dynamics had secured contracts with 35 enterprise clients. Our AI platform had reduced logistics costs for these clients by an average of 54% while improving delivery accuracy by 78%. More importantly, we were solving problems our competitors couldn't even identify. We'd grown from 13 employees to 47, carefully selecting people who brought both expertise and integrity to our company. We hired experienced professionals who'd been displaced by younger workers, giving them a place where their knowledge was valued rather than viewed as obsolescence. The real vindication came 8 months later. TechFlow announced a strategic merger with their largest competitor, corporate speak for being acquired after losing market position. The acquisition price was 40% below their valuation the day before our launch. Their stock had fallen 32% since we started Stone Dynamics. Industry analysts attributed the decline to loss of key personnel and emergence of superior competing technology. Kevin had lasted exactly 3 months as Director of Innovation before being quietly reassigned to business development. I was reviewing our year-end financial reports when my assistant mentioned Jessica was in our lobby, asking to meet with me. Did she have an appointment? I asked. No, sir, but she said it concerned a business proposition. I considered turning her away, but curiosity won. I wanted to see how the woman who'd dismissed me as legacy thinking would approach someone whose company was now valued at more than her former employer. When Jessica entered my office, the transformation was remarkable. The confident executive who'd once relegated me to the hallway now looked like someone who hadn't been sleeping well. Her usual sharp business attire had been replaced by something more subdued, almost apologetic. Thank you for seeing me, she said, remaining standing until I gestured to a chair. What can I do for you, Jessica? She placed a leather portfolio on my desk. This is a formal merger proposal. The acquiring company wants to combine our technologies and client bases. I opened the folder and glanced at the valuation. It was substantial, representing a complete reversal from the woman who'd once told me my ideas weren't worth a seat at their ceremony. "That's generous," I acknowledged. "It reflects the value of what you've built," she replied, "and the cost of competing against you." I closed the portfolio and leaned back. "I want you to understand something. We didn't build Stone Dynamics to eventually be absorbed back into the system that rejected us. We built it to prove that experience, properly valued, could create something better." 1 year after being told I wasn't worth a seat at their ceremony, I was invited to deliver the keynote address at the National Logistics Innovation Conference. As I walked onto that stage, I saw familiar faces in the audience, including several from my former company. But this time, they weren't looking at me with dismissal or condescension. They were looking at me with something I'd never seen from them before: respect. I began my speech with the same words that had once excluded me: "You're not on the list." A murmur ran through the audience of executives and industry leaders. "Those words changed my life," I continued, "not because they hurt, though they did, but because they finally showed me the truth. I was seeking validation from people who would never recognize value they didn't create themselves." The auditorium fell silent as I shared my journey from dismissed director to industry innovator. The most dangerous bias in corporate America isn't against any particular demographic, I concluded, looking out at faces of executives, many over 50 themselves. It's against proven results when they come from sources we've decided not to value. The standing ovation lasted 4 minutes. Have you ever been pushed aside because someone decided your experience was outdated thinking? Have you watched younger colleagues get credit for work you built? If you're reading this and you're over 45, I guarantee you felt what I felt in that hallway: dismissed, devalued, treated like yesterday's news. But here's what I learned. Sometimes being excluded from their table is exactly the push you need to build something better, something that's entirely yours.